Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is episode 2 in the Fast Python series. Today we're going to be going over variables. Last episode we went over the Hello World application, which is basically just an intro level application as well as downloading Python. Feel free to leave a comment again at the bottom of this video to let me know what you guys want to see in the future. And along with that, please leave a like and subscribe so you can follow along with everybody and we can go through and learn some Python. So with that being said, let's just get right on into this video. Alright, so today we're going to go over variables. So the first thing you want to know about variables within Python is the fact that they're dynamically typed. All that means is that you don't actually have to cast them to a variable. So in Java, a variable is what's called statically typed, meaning you have to actually have what type of variable it is within the definition itself. So a variable within Java will look something like this. This means that this int here means int, which means integer in Java. So this means that this variable can only be an integer. Dynamically cast means you don't have to have this, and that's what Python looks like. So a variable in Python is going to look like this, x equals 5. What we can do with variables, just to show here, is we can actually print this out, print x, and what this will do is it'll actually print the console. So what we do here is, if you remember from last episode, is we type in Python, and then we're going to type in the name of the file. Vars vid in my case. Whatever you named it, that's what you're going to put here. And as you can see, it actually prints out 5. One thing that's cool about Python is you can actually set then this variable to anything else you want. So this is called a string. Basically any sentence, word, anything like that that's written or typed can be looked at as a string. So if you want to write out a sentence, you'd write that as a string variable. And now if we print out this variable again, what do you expect is going to happen? So what's actually going to happen is if we actually print this out again, so we run the exact same command we just did, we're going to get 5 and a string. And what this means is that Python, you can change up the variable. So you're not locked into having this be a number once you set it to be a number, and you can actually have it be a string as well. So today we're actually going to go over a few different types of variables within Python that are at the core of Python you really need to know to do any sort of computations or programming. So the first one we're going to go over is called a boolean. A boolean basically is a true or false value. In Python you can denote that as true, or y can be denoted as false. And basically these are just truthy values. These are going to be very, very important once we get to loops, once we get to conditional statements, stuff like that. True, false statements are a huge part of programming. And these are called booleans. I'm just going to put this down here just so you can follow along. The next type of variable we're going to go over is an integer. Integers are whole numbers. They can be negative or positive. And there's a few different examples of them within Python. So we have our normal integer, the value 10, like we all know. But then something in programming you can do, you can actually do binary, octal, hexadecimal as well. So the way we do that is by doing something with an O or 0. For binary, we're going to put a B and then the value. So this is binary 10. Which actually comes out to be 2. Then we're going to have an octal value, which is going to be 0, O, and then the value. And we're going to put 10 again here. And then we're going to put hex, which is going to be 0, X, and then the value you want here. And I forgot the equal sign there, that's what I was complaining about. But this is just a cool way that you can actually show off. So now if we actually have print, we can print out all these values. I'm just going to copy and paste this line a few more times. C, and then now D. And now when we print these out, we actually can see all the values we have. So we have the regular base 10, 10. Then we have 2, which is the binary value, the octal value of 8, and then the hexadecimal of 16. And this is something really cool that Python has to offer right out of the box. The next type of value we're going to talk about is a float. So just like integers are whole numbers, floats can be decimals. So we can have something 10.1. So that's a float value. So any type of decimal, fractions, anything like that, that'll be stored as a float, which basically means we have something after the period, which is the fractional aspect of the number. One cool thing about Python, again, is we actually use exponential values. So we can do b is equal to 5e to the 10. And what this is doing is it's actually creating the exponential value. So now if we print out a, I'm going to copy and paste that again, and we put b, and we go down here then, and I'll actually clear this out for you, and then we print it out again, you now see we actually have 10.1, and then the value that we put here in exponential, and it actually expands out that exponential value. So another type of number that you can actually do in Python is complex numbers as well. So if you're not familiar with complex numbers, you can definitely go look it up. There's plenty of sources that you can learn about complex numbers. I could also make a video if that's of interest. Again, leave a comment in the description, and we can definitely do something like that as well. But the first thing we're going to do now is, so how you write complex numbers is you actually can do complex, or any variable name there, equals, and then actually do your complex value. And this is standard within Python again. Like I said, Python comes with a ton of tools built right in, and this is like one of the coolest things in my opinion. You can do complex arithmetic as well. So if we make 2 and then do 2 plus 6j, and then we actually do a print of comp plus comp2, we go down here and run our program again, we're actually going to see that it actually does the addition for us. So this is really cool. I personally have made programs where I make full use of this. So I would definitely say check into this if you do have to work with complex numbers at all. It'll save you a ton of time in the end. So now we're going to move on to a little bit different than numbers, and that's going to be a string. So in Python, we have kind of a few different examples of strings. So I'm going to go over kind of the basics right away. So this is going to be a string. And we're just going to put in a very quick example. So I am a string. So a string is an array of characters. So a character is anything you see in your keyboard, that's a character. And basically it's an array of them. So it's one after another, separated by either single quotes, or you can also do double quotes. And it's the exact same thing in Python. So that's really cool. One thing you can do then is print these out per usual. So if we print out C, we're going to clear this, and we're going to get a value down here as well. I am a string. And strings are going to be very crucial to you to know down the road when we do end up making a project. Python has many different types of strings. Another type of string is the raw string. But before I talk about a raw string, I'm going to talk about what an escape character is. So there's some characters within languages and programming itself that are specialized characters that do certain functions when you're writing out strings. One of those is \n, which turns into a new line. So if you want to actually go from one line and then add in a new line, you'll put this \n. Another one is \t, which is a tab. And then to actually put a backslash, you need to do \\. And that's kind of something weird, but definitely you gotta get used to doing this, as you probably will have to use backslashes at some point within your strings. These are just some of the most common ones. There's a whole list of a bunch of other ones. I can definitely put a link in the description for some documentation on this, but these are the ones you really should know. So something cool that a raw string does is it actually does not escape these characters. So I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by escaping these characters. So if we did C equals I am a new line and put this \n in here, when we print it, what's going to happen is it's actually going to break that apart. So you see here it says I am, and then where that \n is, it's actually creating that new line. So what a raw string does is it doesn't do that. It'll actually keep this as the text. So to create a raw string, basically what we have to do is we just have to put an R and then put our string. And now when we print it out, what we see here is that it actually just keeps this \n character within the string itself. And this is super handy when you're trying to write something and you want to actually show these values that are the escape characters. So you'll need to know how to use a raw string also. One other way of doing this that's a little bit more freeform in how you write your text is called triple quoted springs. And I think I said springs, but we're talking about strings here. So these are called triple quoted strings. And basically what this is it'll allow you to put in free-form text. So you put in the 3, put 3 more, and then in between these, you put this is my string that has spaces and new lines. And what this will actually do is maintain those new lines. So now if we put C and we print this out, as you can see, we actually maintained these new line characters and stuff like that. Whereas typically if you had a string, so if I just did the same exact thing and change these to a single quoted string, it's actually going to get rid. It's actually, there you go, see, it's actually complaining about it. So you have to do this triple quoted string in order to actually maintain this line spacing and kind of have this more free-form paragraph-like text. And with that, these are just some really basic variables that we've gone over and basic type of structures that are within Python itself. In later videos, we're going to go into more detail on a lot of these, as well as learn some more advanced variables and advanced things we can do within Python itself. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like as well as subscribe to see some more. Also leave a comment to see what you want to see in some upcoming videos. So thank you again.